Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. You wake up 90 days from today, and everything you once called a dream is now part of your daily reality. Success isn't some vague, distant star. It's now within arm's reach. But here's the truth. Success doesn't arrive by accident. It arrives by design. A 90-day plan is not just a strategy. It's a declaration that you refuse to be ordinary. Let's dive into 5 key principles that will make your next 90 days unstoppable. Before setting goals, you need to know why you're setting them. It sounds simple, yet it's where most people stumble. They start with what they want: more money, a healthier body, a promotion, or a bigger house. But without a clear and deeply personal reason behind these desires, their efforts lack fuel. They may sprint out of the gate, but the moment resistance shows up, their momentum falters. Goals without a why are like houses built without foundations. They might look impressive initially, but the first storm exposes their fragility. I have a friend who perfectly embodies this. He's a corporate manager, a high performer at work, but when it came to his personal health, inconsistency was his default mode. Every new year, he'd commit to getting fit. He'd buy new workout gear, sign up for a fancy gym, and announce to everyone that this year was going to be different. And for the first few weeks he'd hit the gym hard, count his calories, and post gym selfies for validation. But by February, life would get in the way. Deadlines piled up, meetings stretched into late evenings, and slowly his workouts became maybe next week events. This cycle repeated for years. Then something changed. One evening, as he lay exhausted on the couch, his young daughter climbed onto his lap. She looked at him innocently and asked, "Will you play with me when I grow up?" That single question pierced through years of excuses and surface-level motivation. It wasn't about six-pack abs or fitting into old jeans anymore. It was about being present in his daughter's life, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. His why had found him, and it was raw, emotional, and deeply personal. That emotional driver became his anchor. The gym was no longer a place he visited to chase a fleeting goal. It became a non-negotiable ritual tied to a future vision of him running, laughing, and playing alongside his daughter. And here's the powerful shift: when you are anchored in a meaningful why, quitting becomes harder than pushing through. Giving up isn't just skipping a workout. It feels like letting down the people or values that matter most to you. When you're building a 90-day plan, clarity of purpose isn't optional. It's your survival kit. You will face friction. There will be mornings when you don't feel like getting out of bed, days when progress feels invisible, and moments when doubt creeps in. If your why is shallow, these challenges will bury your resolve. But if your why is tied to something that touches your heart, every setback becomes a reason to keep moving, not a reason to stop. Think of the entrepreneurs who weather financial losses, ridicule, and sleepless nights. The ones who make it aren't necessarily the smartest or the most connected. They're the ones who are clear on why they started. When their businesses hit rough patches, they don't pivot to safer, easier paths. They remember the problem they're passionate to solve, the community they vowed to serve, or the family legacy they want to build. Their why keeps them standing when logic says they should fold. I once met a woman who ran marathons. She wasn't an athlete by background, and in fact, she had been obese for most of her adult life. After years of failed diets and half-hearted attempts at fitness, she found herself in a doctor's office, being told she might not live to see 50. But the clinical diagnosis wasn't what sparked change. It was the moment she realized she had no family photos where she felt comfortable standing next to her teenage kids. That pain became her fuel. Today, she doesn't run for medals. She runs because every finish line is a declaration that she's reclaiming her life and her memories with her children. Your plan, be it for health, career, relationships, or personal development, needs to be anchored in a similar depth of meaning. Don't chase goals because society tells you they're important. Chase them because they align with your values, your dreams, and the people you love. When you map out your 90-day objectives, ask yourself not just what you want to achieve, but why it must happen. What is at stake if you succeed? More importantly, what is at stake if you don't? The why doesn't have to be grand or earth-shattering. It needs to be real. Maybe you want financial freedom because you grew up watching your parents struggle, and you're determined to give your children a different experience. Maybe you want to improve your health not for vanity, but because you've seen how illness strips people of their independence. Or perhaps you want that promotion not for the title, but because it gives you a platform to mentor others and create a ripple effect of growth. When you connect your goals to something emotionally compelling, you create an invisible contract with yourself. Breaking that contract hurts in a way that's deeper than missing a target on a spreadsheet. It feels like a betrayal of your own identity, and that discomfort becomes a powerful motivator. However, clarity of purpose doesn't eliminate challenges, it transforms how you respond to them. Setbacks become tests of commitment rather than signals to retreat. Delays don't demoralize you, they refine your strategy. Every obstacle becomes a reminder of why you must continue, not an excuse to abandon ship. I've worked with teams who faced brutal deadlines, dwindling resources, and constant skepticism from peers. The teams that survived, even thrived, weren't necessarily the ones with superior skills. They were the ones who had a shared why that transcended individual egos. They weren't just completing a project, they were building something that mattered to them collectively. And that shared purpose became their armor against burnout and disillusionment. Your personal 90-day plan requires the same armor. It's easy to get seduced by tactics, fancy planners, productivity hacks, or accountability apps. But none of these tools matter if your purpose is vague. Tools amplify intent, they don't create it. You must do the inner work of defining your why before you can effectively execute the how. And sometimes the why evolves. Life is dynamic. What drives you today may shift as you grow. That's okay. The key is to remain self-aware and recalibrate when necessary. Don't be afraid to ask yourself tough questions regularly. Is this still important to me? Does this align with who I want to become? The deeper your connection to your why, the less likely you are to be derailed by external noise. In the next 90 days, challenges will come disguised as opportunities to quit. You'll have moments where mediocrity will offer itself as a comfortable alternative to perseverance. Your why is what will determine whether you accept that offer or push forward. It's not willpower that carries people to the finish line, it's clarity of purpose. Your goals are just coordinates on a map. Your why is the compass. Without it, you're directionless. But with it, even when the terrain gets rugged, you'll know which way to go. Because when you're anchored in a deeply personal why, the journey becomes less about achieving a goal and more about becoming the person who refuses to give up. When we stand at the base of a towering mountain, our eyes naturally gravitate upwards. We see the peak distant and daunting, shrouded in mist and uncertainty. The sheer magnitude of the climb can feel overwhelming. That's exactly how our biggest goals often appear too big, too far, too difficult. Whether it's writing a book, launching a business, transforming your health, or rebuilding a life from scratch, the enormity of a 90-day goal can paralyze you. The mind begins to negotiate, to doubt, to retreat. But the secret to conquering any mountain isn't in obsessing over its summit, it's in focusing on the small, daily steps that move you forward. It's about breaking down that mountain into manageable pebbles. Think about any remarkable achievement in history, and you'll discover it was never accomplished in one grand gesture. Every monumental success story is a tale of small, consistent actions performed with relentless dedication. Michelangelo didn't carve David in a weekend. He chipped away day after day, hour after hour, until marble became masterpiece. The same principle applies to every goal that seems insurmountable when viewed as a whole. You don't write a 300-page book by staring at a blank screen and worrying about page 300. You write it 500 words at a time. You don't run a marathon by visualizing mile 26 on your first day. You lace up your shoes and focus on putting one foot in front of the other. The challenge isn't the mountain itself, it's the perception of it. The human mind loves certainty. It craves control. When faced with a colossal goal that lacks immediate results, the mind feels threatened. It whispers, "This is too big. This will take forever. What if you fail?" But here's the antidote. Shrink the battlefield. Instead of waging war against the entire mountain, declare victory over today's pebble. Win the day. There's a reason elite forces like the Navy SEALs led by the mantra, "Win the day." In high-pressure environments where long-term success feels distant, they anchor their focus to the present moment. They don't think about surviving a 6-month deployment. They focus on making it to breakfast, then lunch, then dinner. And suddenly, the impossible becomes inevitable. Small victories create momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence breeds consistency. And consistency over time crafts results so profound they seem miraculous. Imagine you set a goal to lose 10 kilos in 90 days. The scale becomes an obsession. You step on it every morning, hoping for a miracle. But weight loss, like all meaningful change, is not a linear process. Some days you'll lose, some days you'll gain, some days nothing moves. If your focus remains chained to the scale, discouragement will creep in. But if you shift your attention to a daily 30-minute workout, you liberate yourself from the pressure of the outcome and anchor yourself in a process you can control. You stop chasing results and start mastering habits. This principle transcends fitness. It applies to every area of life. Want to build a thriving business in 90 days? Don't obsess over hitting $1 million in revenue. Focus on the number of valuable conversations you have each day. Focus on delivering exceptional service to the customers you already have. Focus on learning, iterating, improving. The $1 million business isn't built in a day. It's built in thousands of tiny decisions in the mundane but powerful rituals of daily discipline. Human beings are wired for instant gratification. We crave quick wins, immediate validation. But mastery belongs to those who understand the power of delayed gratification. The compound effect of small, seemingly insignificant actions performed consistently over time is staggering. 1% better every day might seem trivial, but over 90 days, that's not 90% better. It's transformational. It's the same principle that allows an ant to carry objects 50 times its own body weight. Not because it's thinking about the enormity of the load, but because it's instinctively focused on the next tiny step forward. Nature has always been the greatest teacher of persistence. Rivers don't carve canyons by brute force. They do it with relentless flow. Pebble by pebble, they reshape landscapes. And yet we often sabotage ourselves by setting grand, audacious goals without a plan for daily execution. We romanticize the destination but neglect the journey. A 90-day goal is not a finish line you sprint towards. It's a path you pave, one deliberate step at a time. The process is where growth happens. The process is where character is forged. The process is where dreams become reality. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear: success is boring. It's repetitive. It's doing the same small things over and over again, long after the excitement wears off. Motivation is fleeting. What remains is discipline. What remains is the quiet commitment to show up, even when no one's watching, even when progress is invisible. Success isn't about heroic effort, it's about humble consistency. When you shift your mindset from, I need to achieve this massive goal, to, I need to win today, everything changes. The burden of overwhelming ambition transforms into the joy of daily action. Suddenly, writing 500 words a day feels doable. Showing up for a 30-minute workout feels manageable. Making one extra sales call feels like a small, winnable game. And as you string together these small wins, you realize you're not climbing the mountain in one giant leap. You're dismantling it pebble by pebble. The beauty of this approach is that it liberates you from perfectionism. You don't need to be extraordinary every day. You just need to be consistent. Progress is not about perfection, it's about persistence. There will be days when you feel off, days when life throws curveballs, days when the mountain feels heavier. That's okay. What matters is that you keep moving forward, however small the step may be. This philosophy also guards against burnout. When you only focus on the summit, you ignore the toll of the journey. But when you break down your goal into daily pebbles, you create a sustainable rhythm. You build resilience, you develop a relationship with the process itself, rather than being hostage to the outcome. And in doing so, you not only achieve your goals, you grow into the kind of person who can handle success when it arrives. Greatness is not born from grand gestures. It's sculpted in the quiet hours, in the invisible victories no one sees. It's built in the daily grind of showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process. The mountain will always look intimidating from a distance. But once you start focusing on the pebbles beneath your feet, you realize that every small step is a vote for the person you want to become. The journey of 90 days isn't about the destination. It's about who you become in the process of taking daily, disciplined actions. The real victory isn't reaching the top, it's learning to love the climb. And when you fall in love with the process of moving pebbles, no mountain can ever stop you. We are living in a time where distractions are not accidents. They are not coincidences. They are precision-engineered traps built by some of the smartest minds in the world, designed to do one thing: steal your attention. Every swipe, every ding, every notification is a deliberate attempt to hijack your focus. And if we don't consciously choose to fight back, if we don't actively declare war on these distractions, our goals, our ambitions, our 90-day plan will become collateral damage. Let's not pretend this battle is easy. The devices we hold in our hands have been fine-tuned to give us instant gratification. The dopamine rush from a like, a share, or a binge-worthy series is real, and it's addictive. But here's the truth. Success has no instant gratification. It's earned in silence, in monotony, in focus. Those who achieve extraordinary results are not the ones who are better than us. They are simply the ones who are willing to wrestle their attention back from a world that profits when we're distracted. When you commit to a 90-day mission, you are making a contract with yourself. You're saying, for these 90 days, I will operate at a different standard. But a contract is only as strong as your willingness to enforce it. And enforcement starts with time. Time is not something you find. It's something you protect, something you carve out with ruthless discipline. That's why you must block time for what truly matters. This isn't about squeezing in your goals between emails and phone calls. This is about dedicating sacred hours, untouchable, non-negotiable, to the work that will define your success. Protect your mornings like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The trajectory of your entire day is decided in the first few hours. A study once revealed that individuals who begin their day with focused deep work, away from the digital clutter, see a staggering 67% increase in productivity. This isn't a minor boost, it's a game changer. It means that by simply winning your morning, you could outperform most of your peers by sheer focus alone. But protecting your time requires more than willpower. It demands boundaries. Boundaries that are clear, firm, and unapologetic. You must inform your circle, your family, your friends, your colleagues, that you are on a mission. Tell them, for these next 90 days, during these specific hours, I am unavailable. It might feel uncomfortable. You might worry about upsetting people. But here's the truth: the world adjusts. It always does. People will respect your boundaries if you first respect them yourself. You must lead this conversation with conviction, not as a request, but as a declaration. And in doing so, you will find an unexpected benefit. By setting boundaries, you're not just informing others, you're reinforcing to yourself that your goal is non-negotiable. Every time you say no to a distraction, you're saying yes to your dream. Every ignored notification is a small victory. Every boundary respected is a step closer to success. But understand these distractions are not always external. Sometimes the most dangerous distractions come from within. Self-doubt, procrastination, the inner voice that whispers, maybe later. Declaring war on distractions also means declaring war on these internal saboteurs. It requires catching yourself in those moments when you're tempted to scroll, to delay, to drift, and pulling yourself back with relentless discipline. This is the battlefield where most people lose. Not because they are weak, but because they are unaware of how sneaky internal distractions can be. That's why your environment matters. You can't expect to stay focused if you're constantly surrounded by triggers. Create a workspace that breathes focus. Remove the clutter. Silence unnecessary devices. Design your environment in a way that supports your commitment. It's easier to avoid temptation when it's not in arm's reach. And remember, this is a war of attrition. Distractions don't give up easily. They will knock on your door every day, multiple times a day. But with each refusal, with each moment of sustained focus, you are building an armor. An armor made of discipline, clarity, and intent. Over time, this armor becomes so strong that distractions lose their grip on you. You don't become someone who needs to resist distractions because they no longer appeal to you. Every successful person you admire has fought this war. They've had moments of weakness, of course, but they built systems, routines, boundaries, environments that helped them win more battles than they lost. And that's all you need to do, win more battles than you lose. Progress is not perfection, it's consistency. Imagine the compound effect of this over 90 days. While others are losing hours to mindless scrolling, you're stacking focused hours toward a meaningful goal. While others are reactive, you're proactive. While others drift, you're navigating with precision. Success, in the end, is less about talent and more about who can stay focused on the hard things long enough without being pulled away. But let me be clear, this will not make you popular. Declaring war on distractions means you'll be out of sync with a world addicted to immediacy. You'll miss out on the latest viral trends, the water cooler gossip, the illusion of being always connected. And that's okay. Because what you'll gain in return is far more valuable. The ability to be present in your own life, to make progress on what matters to you, to live with a sense of purpose and clarity that very few people experience. This is the trade-off, this is the choice. Distractions will always offer you comfort, ease, and entertainment. But they will never offer you progress. They will never build your legacy. They will never deliver you to the place where your potential becomes reality. That journey requires discomfort, discipline, and a conscious decision to unplug from the noise and plug into your mission. So, as you step into your 90-day plan, remember this: you are not merely working on a project. You are fighting for your focus, your future, your freedom. And every day you will be tested. But every day you also have a choice. The choice to win this war, the choice to show up, block out the noise, and do the work that matters. Because in the end, the only thing standing between you and your success is whether you are willing to fight for it. Declare war on distractions. The world will adjust, but you must lead. Here's the expanded keynote speech in 1,000 words in the style of Simon Sinek, keeping the emotional depth and logical flow strong without subheadings or a conclusion. Success is often portrayed as a battle of sheer willpower. We're told to hustle harder, to resist temptations, to push through distractions with brute force. But what if I told you that willpower is overrated? That no matter how strong your inner drive is, you will eventually lose if your environment is designed to pull you in the opposite direction. Success isn't just about willpower, it's about environment power. Look around you. Your environment is constantly shaping your actions, even when you're not conscious of it. You might believe you're making choices independently, but your surroundings, what you see, hear, and feel, are silently nudging you every single day. Imagine trying to stay fit while your kitchen is stocked with chips, soda, and cookies. Every time you pass the pantry, you're not resisting one temptation, you're resisting dozens repeatedly. And we wonder why willpower feels like a muscle that gets exhausted. Now picture this: you want to eat clean, you're committed. But instead of placing that responsibility entirely on your discipline, you make a subtle yet powerful shift. You redesign your kitchen. You fill it with fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and snacks that nourish your body. The chips and soda never make it past the grocery store. Suddenly, healthy choices don't require iron willpower. They become the default. You've engineered your environment to pull you towards success rather than force you to push against failure. It's not just about food. This principle applies to every area of life. If you want to be more focused, more creative, more productive, you need to build a workspace that reflects those intentions. A cluttered desk will clutter your mind. If your phone is constantly buzzing, begging for attention, your focus is compromised before you even start. But when you walk into a space that feels like a sanctuary of creativity, minimal distractions, tools at your fingertips, and an aesthetic that makes you want to stay, you've already won half the battle. You don't need to fight for focus because the environment is already aligned with your goals. This isn't just philosophy, it's backed by research. James Clear, in his study of habit formation, revealed that environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but its impact is monumental. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are built within your environment. If your systems are designed to make the right choice easy and the wrong choice hard, you've already tilted the odds in your favor. But environment isn't limited to the physical space. It's also the people you surround yourself with. Human energy is infectious. Spend time around people who are constantly complaining, who see obstacles in every opportunity, and watch how quickly their mindset seeps into yours. You'll start lowering your standards, compromising on your dreams, and convincing yourself that good enough is acceptable. But put yourself in a room where ambition is the norm, where people are chasing excellence not as a hobby, but as a lifestyle, and something extraordinary happens. Mediocrity becomes uncomfortable. When you're surrounded by people who wake up early, who hold themselves accountable, who set goals that scare them, you will feel out of place if you're not leveling up too. That discomfort isn't a bad thing, it's a catalyst. It's the environment pulling you upwards, demanding your best, refusing to let you settle. Think of professional athletes. They don't rely on willpower alone to stay in peak condition. Their training facilities are designed for performance. Their coaches, teammates, and even the routines of their day are structured to align with their goals. Excellence is engineered into their environment. It's not an accident that they succeed. It's not luck. It's a system designed to produce champions. You have the same opportunity. You might not have a state-of-the-art facility, but you have control over the micro environments in your life. You decide what apps stay on your phone. You choose what content fills your social media feed. You determine which conversations you engage in and which ones you let go. Every choice you make about your environment either empowers your future or sabotages it. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we're victims of our environment, that our surroundings are fixed, immovable. But that's a lie. You have more control than you think. You can rearrange your living space. You can set boundaries on your time. You can choose who gets a seat at your table. You can build a life where success doesn't require heroic effort every single day. Instead, success becomes the natural byproduct of an environment designed to nurture it. Consider the story of a writer who struggled for years to finish his first book. Every time he sat down to write, he found himself distracted, emails, social media, phone calls, you name it. He blamed himself for a lack of discipline. But the real problem wasn't his willpower, it was his environment. One day he decided to rent a small cabin for a month. No internet, no TV. Just a desk, a chair, and the view of the woods. In that month, he wrote more than he had in the past 2 years. Nothing changed about him. His ambition was always there, but his environment had been working against him. Once he aligned his surroundings with his goals, progress became inevitable. Environment power is the great amplifier. It takes your intentions and multiplies their impact. It removes friction from good habits and adds friction to bad ones. When you design your environment to win, you no longer have to rely on willpower for every decision. The environment becomes your silent partner, working behind the scenes to pull you towards the person you want to become. Every great achievement you admire, whether in business, sports, or personal development, didn't happen in isolation. It was cultivated in an ecosystem that supported it. The most successful individuals don't just discipline themselves, they discipline their environments. They build systems where doing the right thing isn't a daily struggle, it's the path of least resistance. So, the next time you find yourself stuck, struggling to stay consistent, don't blame your lack of discipline. Examine your environment. Ask yourself, is my environment designed to help me win, or is it subtly sabotaging my success? Because when you get the environment right, discipline becomes a fortress, focus becomes natural, and success becomes a matter of time. Most people give up, not because they aren't moving forward, but because they can't see that they are. Progress, when it's invisible, feels like standing still. Imagine pushing a massive boulder up a hill. Every day you push, sweat dripping, muscles aching, but the summit still feels miles away. After a while, you start to believe that the boulder isn't moving at all. But here's the truth, it's inching forward, slowly, steadily. But without a way to see those inches, the mind convinces you otherwise, and that's when people quit, not from failure, but from the illusion of it. We live in a culture obsessed with big wins. Society glorifies overnight successes, viral moments, massive breakthroughs. But no one tells the story of the person who made 100 quiet attempts before getting a single yes. No one celebrates the entrepreneur who spent 300 days refining a product before it became a prototype. Yet, these invisible victories are the heartbeat of real success. The danger is when we don't acknowledge them, our minds grow restless. We begin to feel as though our efforts are swallowed into a void, and without feedback, motivation withers. That's why tracking your progress isn't a trivial exercise, it's a lifeline. Every small win you document becomes a reminder that you are in motion. It's like leaving breadcrumbs on a trail so you never forget how far you've come. You went to the gym 5 days straight. That's not small, that's consistency. Write it down. You made those 10 daunting sales calls today. That's courage in action. Mark it. The brain craves recognition. It doesn't need grand applause. It needs the simple act of acknowledgement. Momentum is not built from outcomes, it's built from effort. The outcomes will come, but effort is what you control, and effort deserves to be seen. The most successful companies understand this deeply. They don't wait until a product is globally launched to celebrate. They cheer for the prototype. They gather the team to acknowledge the first piece of customer feedback. They applaud the day when a minor revenue target is met. These aren't symbolic gestures, they are strategic, because leaders know that morale is fragile, and every small victory reinforces the belief that progress is happening. Think of a software team releasing a beta version after months of development. It's not perfect, it's not the end goal, but it's a milestone that reflects effort, learning, and persistence. Celebrating it creates a ripple effect. The team feels seen, their work validated, and suddenly the long haul to final release feels a little less daunting. This principle is universal, whether you're building a company, writing a book, losing weight, or learning a new skill. The same truth applies. Micro wins fuel macro success. Progress is a game of dopamine. Every time you reward yourself for a small achievement, you give your brain a reason to stay engaged. Dopamine isn't reserved for huge life-changing moments. It's released when you simply feel a sense of accomplishment, however small. By tracking and celebrating micro wins, you're essentially hacking your brain's chemistry to stay motivated. The irony is, most people are waiting for motivation to come before they act, not realizing that motivation is built through action, and more importantly, through the recognition of that action. Think about the power of a simple checklist. You write down 5 tasks for the day. Each time you tick one off, there's a micro release of satisfaction. That little check is a mini celebration. Over time, these small validations create a rhythm of momentum. The task might be as simple as making your bed or replying to an important email, but the principle is profound. Action tracked is progress recognized. The human brain needs closure. When we don't close the loop on our efforts, by acknowledging them, we feel perpetually unfinished. This breeds frustration. But when you track your actions and pause to celebrate, you close that loop. You tell your brain, this was good, this moved me forward. It's no longer a vague sense of business, it becomes tangible progress. There's a story of a sales team that transformed their performance not by changing strategies, but by changing how they celebrated. Instead of only cheering when deals were closed, they started celebrating the number of calls made, the number of conversations initiated, the persistence shown in follow-ups. The outcome, revenue, became a natural byproduct of consistent effort, and the effort was kept alive through visibility and celebration. You can apply the same psychology to personal goals. Trying to lose 20 pounds. Don't wait until the scale shows 20 less. Celebrate every workout you finish, every healthy meal you choose. Writing a novel. Don't wait until the manuscript is complete. Celebrate every chapter, every page, every hour you dedicate. These micro wins are not trivial. They are survival tools for your motivation. The real danger lies in the all or nothing mindset. If we only recognize progress when it reaches the final goal, we sabotage our own journey. It's like refusing to feel proud until you've climbed the entire mountain, ignoring the fact that every step upwards is a triumph over gravity and fatigue. No wonder so many give up. They're starving for encouragement in a process where they deny themselves any. Small wins compound. They create a feedback loop of confidence. Each celebration, however minor, sends a signal: I'm capable, I'm moving, I'm building something. Over weeks and months, this compounds into a powerful sense of momentum that no external validation can provide. This approach doesn't just apply to individuals. It's transformative for teams and organizations. Leaders who make the effort to recognize and celebrate the small wins of their people create cultures of resilience. When people feel seen for their daily efforts, they show up with more energy, more creativity, and more commitment. They're not waiting for a distant finish line to feel fulfilled. They're fueled by the journey itself. So the next time you find yourself feeling stuck, ask yourself, am I really not progressing, or am I just not seeing my progress? If you're not tracking your wins, you're denying yourself the proof you need to stay in the game. Success isn't a singular event. It's a series of small, invisible victories that, when strung together, build something remarkable. You are building momentum every time you acknowledge your effort. You are rewiring your brain to stay in the fight, to push a little further, to rise after every fall. The wins may be small, but their impact is enormous. Celebrate them, track them, make them visible. Because in the end, it's not the magnitude of the win that matters. It's the habit of winning, even in the smallest ways, that creates unstoppable progress. The next 90 days could change your life, not because of some miracle, but because you chose to show up differently. It's not about being superhuman. It's about being consistently human in a super focused way. Anchor yourself in purpose. Break the mountain of daily pebbles. Wage war on distractions. Craft an environment that pushes you forward. And celebrate the small, silent victories no one else sees. You don't need more time. You need more intention with the time you already have. The next 90 days are yours to command. Start today.